Welcome to Conversations with Zaki Baruti, with your host, Zaki Baruti. Tonight, of course, we'll have a great show, but before we begin our show, I'd like to always do as I've been doing every Saturday and give a shout out to my biological family, a shout out to the Universal African Peoples Organization family, as well as a shout out to the New Life Evangelistic Center family, headed by Reverend Rice. And to that note, in studio with me are two outstanding young men of our community that are doing some great work. And I just want to welcome into the studio with me, Brother Jamie Dennis, as well as Brother Anthony Cage. Brother Cage both being strong soldiers in our community, and both are working with a very progressive organization in our community called the Urban League.
Yes, sir.
And first and foremost, one of the reasons that I wanted you in the studio with me, because you are the director of a real progressive program that I'd like to salute.
And
that is Save Our Sons, which is ran by the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis. And in fact, in our newspaper, quarterly newspaper, which is called the African Newsworld, we have a nice advertisement of the Urban League Save Our program, Save Our Sons, Preparing Generations for the Workforce.
Yes, sir.
Before we get into it, I'd normally like to have the audience hear about some background of each of my guests.
Absolutely.
So share just real briefly a little bit of your background, then we'll get into the subject matter.
Yes, sir. Well, I've been an activist pretty well all of my life. I started out in North St. Louis, pretty well grew up in the city all the way up into my formative, teenage years. And I began to take on leadership responsibility once I became a member of Matthew Dickey Boys and Girls Club. And to the credit of Martin Luther Matthews, who was my mentor, I'd like to send a shout out to him. He's the guy that kind of helped me, shape my activism and point me in the right direction, and also give me a support system. So, I have an extensive background in music. I was a professional rapper, recording artist with a group called Out of Order. We signed with PD Wax Records. It was a gentleman named Prim Rogers, rest in peace. He gave us an opportunity to be able to sign a deal to where I was able to travel nationally and internationally, doing the Budweiser Was Up tour. Through the tutelage of Johnny Furr, who was handling the urban marketing at the time. And it afforded me a lot of different experiences that, didn't pan out the way I really wanted it to pan out, as far as me making it to the limelight and, being the #1 recording artist. But I was able to share my experiences with the youth. And so in turn, I paid it forward by coming back to Matthew Dickey and having a program called Urban Music, where I was using my music to promote civic pride, intergenerational relationships, and literacy. And through that, long story short, Mr. McMillan, who's always been one of the pillars in our community and our boss, he actually saw me at some of these engagements. And, when the Ferguson arrest began, a lot of people were out there, and I would just be Googling and putting things on my social media page. And as progressive as he is, he actually inboxed me. He was like, "Hey, brother, I like some of the stuff that you're saying." He said, "I think you got the perfect temperament to be a part of this program that I'm trying to develop." And I didn't know it was Save Our Sons at the time, because I was actually doing an after-school program at Patrick Henry Downtown Academy, where I was using music again to, mentor children. And so around, I would say, October of 2014, after this really started getting crazy in Ferguson, he offered the position, came down there, and I accepted the job wholeheartedly. And I didn't take it as just a regular job, but I took it as a mission. And I always was very grateful to be put in a position where I could make my services go in full circle, 360 degrees, and be able to help, people like I was able to get help by Mr. Matthews.
So on that note, too, I just want the audience to be clear when we're saying Mr. McMillan. Mr. Michael McMillan, he's the president and the CEO of Metropolitan Urban League of St. Louis. Brother Cage.
Yes, sir.
As Made mentioned, the Urban League was involved as an extension of what took place in Ferguson. I know you were a frontliner in Ferguson, but before we get into Ferguson, real briefly, a little bit about yourself also.
My name is Anthony Cage, Brisby. I've been out here doing activism within the community ever since probably within the beginning of the 2000s, late 1990s. Obviously, furniture days, highway shut down, other things whatever required our usage. I came to become familiar with Zaki doing with the unrest that occurred up in Ferguson. He was just outside the Kingdom Plaza, and he was at that time running for county executive. And I just seen him out there running for county executive, and I decided that I took it up on myself that I was going to help this man and endorse him and do everything that I could in my power to see if he could win the county executiveship. Even though he didn't win, I just made it up on myself to make sure I do what I need to do to help Zaki get across there. And during that time, I decided to join the Universal African People Organization, in which he is our president of. He is also my mentor, who I look up to and respect utmost to the utmost. And I just like to say that I will do anything within my power to always help our community, help our youth stay out of jail and out the graveyards. And basically, in a long story short, that's just a short, brief description of Mr. Anthony Cage.
And I salute you for your activism, and that's what we need, people getting involved to make a difference.
Sir.
And so going back to Save Our Sons program, this was the brainstorm of Brother Mike McMillan. Am
Absolutely.
I correct?
Through his vision, Mr. Michael P. McMillan, he sought to find a solution to the economic problem that he found out while he was out there with the protesters in Ferguson, where brothers were alluding to the problems were stemming from lack of resources, lack of wherewithal, lack of having access to equitable jobs and opportunities. So Mr. McMillan, being as progressive as he was, he decided to put together the right team, and I think he was an extraordinary visionary to be able to do what he's done, because we've actually given some tangible results and actually be able to come from our community and service our community. So, Mr. McMillan, he's a genius, I think.
So on that note, we're going to take a quick break, and on the other side of the break, we're going to get into some of the practical achievements of Save Our Sons.
Yes, sir.
Moving, oh, they're disapproving. Keep them doggies moving, Lord. Don't try to understand them, just smoke and throw and brand.
And so a friend and I slept in an abandoned house, and we got arrested.
Move 'em on, hit 'em up, hit 'em up, move 'em on, hit 'em up, raw high. Cut 'em out, ride 'em in, let 'em out, cut 'em out, ride 'em in, raw high.
In front of the 1411 Locust Building, we have the statue of the homeless Jesus. Neighbors don't want the homeless around. They want to do everything they can to drive them out of downtown. And I saw this happen firsthand. I'm Larry Rice, director of the New Life Evangelistic Center, how the system can actually create chaos and then want to blame it on the work of God. We have all these homeless people that have come forth and testified the fact that the police actually encouraged them to go and sleep between the 14th and 15th block on Locust prior to the cease and desist order taking effect at the New Life Evangelistic Center. They let them sleep out there for weeks, even months, and then once that order was given, they went out there with the police sweep and chased them all off. Well, now there may not be homeless people around there, but they're sure hurting, and they're in many different locations. We believe that it's very important that we can get back into this 1411 Locust Building as soon as possible. And that's why we have all different types of repairs that are taking place. The problem is if the city keeps adding to their list because they're trying to perpetually keep us out, then we're going to have to go to court with this whole issue. That's why I'm asking for, number one, your prayers, and you continue financial support so we can make the repairs. And number three, a legal process that's so absolutely essential at this time that's far beyond the 1411 Locust Building. It relates to groups all over and churches all over that want to reach out in response to the scriptures and let the light and love of the homeless Jesus, who said that foxes have holes and birds have nests, but he, the Son of Man, had nowhere to lay his head, to live through them. We're striving to do that at New Life Evangelistic Center. Even though the 1411 Locust Building is presently closed, we're doing everything we can to help homeless people. Some we're taking to Winsville, Missouri, getting them into hotel rooms where they're finding jobs right away. Others, we're getting a wide range of training programs. We're helping them with literally hundreds and hundreds of Metrolink bus tickets so they can get out and find jobs and all different types of emergency supplies. And all this is possible because of those of you that are praying, caring, and sharing with the New Life Evangelistic Center. So please send your gift now to P.O. Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri 63166.
Welcome back to Conversations with Zaki Baruti. In studio with me is Brother Jamie Dennis, who's the director of Save Our Sons, a program that's led by the Urban League, as well as Brother Anthony Cage, a member of the Universal African People's Organization and a leading recruiter of Save Our Sons. On the other side of the break, we were just getting ready to get into what is the purpose and the goal of Save Our Sons?
Save Our Sons' purpose and goal is to get brothers gainfully employed. I mean, African Americans or others who may need help. If you're a male, the statistics say that African American males are 3 times as likely to not be hired versus anyone, whether it's our female counterparts or other races or people from different ethnicities. So our purpose is to be a conduit for the African American male, to educate them and then get him to rethink his decision-making process. Get them to understand and face up to a lot of problems. See, in our program, we teaching that fear is something that can propel you to success, and it shouldn't hold you back. There's an acronym that goes with it. Fear can stand for forget everything and run, or it could stand for face everything and rise. So we teach that principle of fear can actually be something that can be an accelerant for your success. And also I use a strategy called the 3 R's: respect, restraint, responsibility. We must take responsibility for ourselves. We must be restraining ourselves no matter what the situation may cause for, because sometimes we can make a life or death decision in a split second, and it can change, alter, and affect the way the outcomes of our success may be. And the first week is how to get a job. The second week is how to keep a job. Third week is how to get promoted. And the last week, which is the most important, how to remain marketable. Because if you can articulate your weaknesses and your strengths, and you have all the resources where you can use that as a platform, then you'll never really be out of work, because you'll always be able to be on the scene or in the know.
So to that end, and then I'm going to get to you, Brother Cage, the program has been in existence since 2014,
That's
right?
correct.
After the murder of Mike Brown starting about October. So how many young men have you been actually able to touch and put into the workforce?
In less than 2 years, we've been able to affect change in over 300 lives.
That's right.
Oh, that's all.
300 lives. Yes, sir.
And when you talk about 300 lives, a key component of that is not only the individual person, but because of that, of his family and
we're helping the whole family through the 26 other programs that exist at the Urban League to give them a wraparound services. So if a brother comes to our program, he's hungry, we have that covered. If he doesn't have clothes or interview clothes, we have that covered. If he has rental issues or needs somewhere to stay, we have resources, because it takes a total community. And we realize that the Urban League is bigger than us. So we're willing to work with anybody that's willing to change the miserable conditions of the African American male in our society.
So you've been a director, and Brother Cage, you are a leading recruiter. How have you found your position? He's the man, okay? He's the one that brings them in, the 300. So you have to go out and be really capturing the minds of the people to even get them interested in the program. Am I right?
Yes,
and
sir.
share with our audience your experience as a recruiter.
Yes, sir. First, I'd just like to say thank you to Brother Anthony Shaib, Brother Marlon Lee, and to Mr. McMillan for giving me the opportunity to become the recruiter of Save Our Sons. So with that said, my job basically consists of going out within our community to find individuals that we can find that will fit to qualify for this program, so we could get them gainfully employed. Wherever I could go, wherever I feel appropriate at that time, whether it be North County, via Ferguson, Dalewood, Jennings, unincorporated Berkeley, North City, West City, South City, wherever we feel we could go find individuals to gain employment. That's what we'll go at. And basically what we do, we look for them and we let them know that we're there for them, not just for 3 hours a day, because the program consists of 20 days, 60 hours from 1:30 to 4:30, 1:30 in the afternoon to 4:30 in the afternoon, and it's 3. So like I say, Monday through Fridays, and it's 3 hours, but 4 weeks, 60 hours. And like I say, it's we're a very close-knit family in there. We look out for each other, not just while we're at the program. We help you outside the 430 program. People call me and the director, Mr. Dennis, all the time for issues, whatever we feel that we could do to try to keep those guys out of trouble, make sure we could keep them keep a level head, restraining themselves from doing things that they may regret or change their lives in a way that they don't want it to be changed. We'll do what we will do that. So, and like I said, I like
and beyond.
And we go above beyond. And I just like to say again, I appreciate all the things that I've got to achieve through that. Also with my mentor, Mr. Zaki, through our UAPO program also.
Okay, with that note though, are there any particular qualifications? You know, some young people may be out, and is it just for males or?
Yeah, it is just for males because of that statistic. And I would say it isn't for everyone, but it is for anyone. And anyone that wants to save themselves could walk right in our doors from ages 17 to as old as 64. We've helped brothers who maybe have 2 master degrees, but yet they can't network or be able to finagle and get into the workplace where they can be gainfully employed. We help those gentlemen. We help those gentlemen that have been incarcerated who are underemployed perhaps. We help all those that need education, where we have scholarship opportunities for those that are transitioning out of high schools. And we're actually going into these high schools now, creating soft skills training classes that are going to actually be used for credits for the high school students, which will be a progressive move, as well as going into the different sectors of the businesses and giving soft skills training so that they don't have such a high turnover rate.
So with that said, so that someone who's listening and may be interested in, being part of the program, what number, how do they reach out to you?
You can reach us at 314-388-9840.
Let's slow it back down. Say it again.
314-388-9840.
9840.
And also you can see us on www.ulstl.com.
Okay then, so with that said, we'll have another quick break and then we'll be back.
Thank you.
Hear this, you who trample the needy and do away with the poor of the land. Let justice roll on like a river, righteousness like a never-failing stream. You trample on the poor and force him to give you grain. Therefore, though you have built stone mansions, you will not live in them. Though you have planted lush vineyards, you will not drink their wine. For I know how many are your offenses and how great your sins. You oppress the righteous and take bribes, and you deprive the poor of justice in the courts. Seek good, not evil, that you may live. Then the Lord God Almighty will be with you, just as you say He is. Hate evil, love good.
I want to ask you to please engage in push prayers for the New Life Evangelistic Center. Spell out the word push. Pray until something happens. Please continue to pray for New Life Evangelistic Center as we now go before the Missouri Court of Appeals. We're asking you to please pray at this particular time that the Missouri Court of Appeals will see that the provision of shelter is a function of worship, and they will rule that New Life Evangelistic Center doesn't have to be singled out in order to get petitions from neighbors that are trying to stop it from sheltering the homeless at 1411 Locust. It's violating the religious rights of not only New Life Evangelistic Center, but every church that wants to practice what the scriptures teach. In this case, the neighbors have to approve how we practice our religion by signing off on particular petitions. They're not requiring that from the Biddle House and others, but from the New Life Evangelistic Center because of the gentrification taking place in the community. That's why your prayers are so absolutely essential at this time. So please engage in push prayers, pray until something happens, and please continue to share with the work of New Life Evangelistic Center.
For just 80 cents a day, you can help many people in need all around the world. That's only $24 a month. The New Life Evangelistic Center wants you to help feed the hungry and shelter the homeless by joining Club 24. For $24 a month, you can be a part of touching people's lives. For just 80 cents a day, you can make a difference in someone's life. Call 314-881-3210 or give online at newlifeevangelisticcenter.org.
welcome back to Conversations with Zaki Baruti, with your host Zaki Baruti. In studio with me is brother Jamie Dennis, as well as Anthony Cage, and they're very involved in Save Our Sons. That's a great name, because a lot of our sons need saving, especially when you look at the disproportionate number of our people being incarcerated, the death rates from violent deaths and what have you. So again, I just want to salute the Urban League and you, both of you individually, for the kind of work that you're doing. But let's go back again in terms of the program in of itself. Now, once someone has enrolled, and you had shared earlier, anybody who's interested and want to make a difference in their life can enroll,
That's right.
So what period of time are they normally enrolled in the program? And then what is the success rate after they have enrolled? Because the end objective is to get them employed.
That's right.
So I want this, how long are they in? And what skills are you teaching?
Okay.
And
well, we're teaching them in a nutshell, soft skills. We're teaching them how to understand code switching, how to interview properly, how to take a career inventory of themselves, where they can be able to articulate what it is in the interview situation and understand the behavioral interviews as well, because nowadays that's basically what it's based off. It's not the simple traditional paper applications. We're teaching them how to get working email addresses, to where they can begin to search on the internet for not just social media websites, but job boards and job listings, teaching them the art of networking. We telling them that to increase your network is to increase your net worth. So we're disarming brothers. We're teaching them that the streets can be used, because the tenacity it takes to survive on the streets can be applied in the business sense, but you can't use the illicit activity. You have to better yourself. So we're teaching citizenship. We're talking about understanding politics as well, because it's not just job training, it's life skills training. And a lot of times you deal with people that have been incarcerated or have addictions, and we all have skeletons in our closets. So we're speaking from a real place, the unwritten nuances that most generic workforce training programs will never touch upon. And I think that's been our success, is that we have real life success stories. Brothers come in our program, some, if you're really hungry and you got those skills already, we brush you up and you get a job in the first week. But if you need the training, like a brother that's not been into the workforce, then of course he's going to need the 20 days, 60-hour treatment. And we have gotten people hired that had no skills as short as 2 weeks.
so in terms of having them hired,
Yes, sir.
and being out in the workforce, are you tracking their retention rate?
Absolutely.
In terms of once they
We have a follow-up for a year long, to where we stay in touch with these gentlemen. And being that we're almost going on 3 years, those relationships are still intact, because there's still several brothers that contact me to this day that I've interacted with back from 2015. And they're still working, and they're still doing the job, and they're staying focused. So yes, we follow them, we make sure the resources are there, and a lot of times when they don't have a job, they come back to us. This program is so perpetual that guys that have jobs right now still come back to the program just for the camaraderie and just for the brotherhood that they're feeling in the Save Our Sons program, because it's such a human service type of situation where it becomes an experience. So we want this to be a model for the country, to where we can spread this in every major community, because if something needs to be saved, then it's in dire straits. And that's what the SOS is about. It's a universal distress signal. So we just want to continue to say, come and join us. Get with this movement. This is an economic movement. This is for our brothers. This is for the salvation of our nation. And it's not a black thing or a white thing, but a United States thing. So do the right thing.
Well, on that note, and we just have another minute before break, Cage, for these jobs that you've been able to get, are they minimum wage or are they decent paying jobs?
Gainful.
Gainful. It varies, and it can vary anywhere from $10 an hour up to $25 to $30 an hour. It depends on that individual and what your job set and what you're trying to accomplish out of that. And we also have a 98% placement rate. So we're very successful in placing our individuals within these jobs, because we have over 250 hiring partners associated with this program also. And also, for when we were saying also with convicted felons and people outside. We have 54% of those individuals that we've placed in there are also associated either through probation or parole also. So we are definitely we're a good doorman for them, you know, to get those and get them into the back into the workforce.
That is so great. So on that note, though, we're going to have to take another break, and we'll be right back.
Thanks to New Life Evangelistic Center, thousands of mothers with children around the world can stay together. They can pursue their educations, and they grow in grace and in the knowledge of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Thank you to all of our Club 24 members who make this miracle happen.
You may feel like you're journeying through a desert, a desperation, desolation. Jeremiah 31:3 says that he loves us with an everlasting love. As I find myself often even walking through the very valley of the shadow of death, I'm reminded I do not need to fear evil because of God's love. One of the great things about growing older is that we can look back over life and see how God has brought us through one impossible situation after another. And when we encounter trials and tribulations such as we're encountering here at the New Life Evangelistic Center, what a joy it is to have the promise of God's Word. You have the very same thing available to you at this time. So instead of getting bitter over what life may have thrown at you, let's get better by immersing ourselves in His Word, by praying, and remembering His promise that those that wait upon the Lord, they shall renew their strength, they shall mount up with wings like eagles, they shall run and not get tired, and they shall walk and not get weary. That's His promise for you and me today. Let's do it. Let's walk in His Word.
When I was hungry, New Life Evangelistic Center has fed me. When I needed clothes, He clothed me. And when I needed a bed to sleep in, He also provided that. And I'm grateful, very grateful, to New Life Evangelistic Center.
They help me, you know, keep me off the cold, give me a place to sleep, eat. They clothe me, and they help me solve my problems.
Welcome back to Conversations with Zaki Baruti, and we're on the verge of closing out the program. To that note, are there any, first of all, what is the contact number again?
The contact information is 314-388-9840, www.ulstl.com.
And Brother Cage, any last minute statements about how the program has impacted you since that you've been a major recruiter? How has that impacted you?
It's impacted me in a way that because of my desire to be out and help the community, I couldn't ask for a better job. You know, being that as much as I like, everybody knows my passion about how I am about our people and our community. And so with God blessing me with the ability to get out here and get these people off these streets and help them gain employment, it's been very successful with me. And I also like to say thank you to Mike Brown, to Mike Brown's mom, and to the organization for opening the doors, you know, and even though it was a tragic loss on behalf of their son, but it did also open the door for so many other different things for our community and the country in a whole. So I also like, you know, so much love and respect to Mike Brown Sr. and to Leslie McSpadden. And I just also like to say thank you again to the Urban League, to Mr. Michael P. McMillan, to Zaki Baruti, and Anthony Shaib for connecting me with these individuals to get me where I'm at with that. And I'm totally grateful for having this job opportunity to go out there and save our individuals out here in these streets.
Great. And yourself?
I just want to say we want to keep brothers prepared because the 5 P says proper preparation prevent poor performance. So if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And I just want to thank the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis, everybody up in management, all the brothers that graduated through our program. We want to continue to help more people. We've helped 300. We want to help 300 more and continue.
Well, that is again, I just want to salute both of you, on two levels.
Thank you, sir.
One, in terms of just your prior activism in terms of wanting to change our community, because so many times we do not have enough folks who make want to make that commitment. And then, of course, working with Brother Mike McMillan and the Urban League with Save Our Sons. That could not be a greater title, and work behind it in order to save our sons, because too many of our children are dying in the streets here in the St. Louis area as well as across this country. So on that note, again, just want to send a shout out to everybody as it relates to tune in to our program next week for Conversations with Zaki Baruti. God bless each and every one of you.